Halloween night had arrived, casting a spell of excitement over the small town of Willowbrook. Among the various festivities, the Willowbrook Pumpkin Patch was a favoured haunt for locals. 4 close friends, Amy, Chris, Sarah, and Mark, decided to celebrate the spooky holiday by visiting the renowned patch. The night was chilly, and the full moon illuminated their path as they approached the sprawling pumpkin patch. It was a sight to behold, with rows of pumpkins of all sizes, scarecrows standing sentinel, and eerie decorations setting a macabre tone. Mark, the daredevil of the group, had a mischievous glint in his eye. "Let's make it interesting this year. How about we venture into the corn maze at the stroke of midnight?" His proposal was met with both excitement and trepidation, but the allure of adventure on Halloween night was irresistible. They agreed, knowing the maze would challenge their senses and courage. As the clock neared midnight, the 4 friends entered the sprawling corn maze, their flashlights the only source of illumination. The stalks of corn loomed high overhead, and the air was thick with an eerie silence that seemed to swallow their laughter and chatter. At first, it was all fun and games as they navigated the twists and turns, playfully racing one another. But as the minutes ticked by, the maze's disorienting design began to take its toll. They found themselves at a junction where every path seemed identical. "We should have brought breadcrumbs," Chris joked, but his humour couldn't mask the growing unease that settled over the group. The moon, now hidden behind a thick blanket of clouds, cast eerie, shifting shadows that played tricks on their eyes. The stalks of corn rustled with a sinister whisper, and the sense of being watched weighed heavily on them. Despite their best efforts, they were hopelessly lost, wandering deeper into the heart of the maze. Panic began to claw at their throats, and the atmosphere grew increasingly suffocating. Just as despair threatened to overtake them, they stumbled upon a clearing at the center of the maze. In the moonlight, they saw a tall figure standing before them, an eccentric jester with a painted face, his grin unnaturally wide. "Lost, are you?" he cackled, his voice a sinister melody. "Ah, but what a fortunate encounter for you." The jester introduced himself as Jeston and explained that he was the guardian of the maze. He had an offer for them, one that would lead them out of the labyrinth and grant them any wish they desired, but only if they played his game. With no other options, they agreed to his challenge. Jeston produced 4 intricately carved masks, each adorned with strange symbols. He explained that they would each put on a mask, and in doing so, they would enter a world of riddles and puzzles. Solve his challenges, and they could leave the maze unharmed. Reluctantly, they donned the masks, their faces hidden behind the eerie visages. The world around them twisted and shifted, and they found themselves transported into a surreal realm. Jeston's world was a place of twisted logic and unsettling beauty. They stood at the edge of an abyss, a bottomless chasm that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Jeston grinned at them, his painted face contorted with malevolent glee. "Your first challenge," he announced, "is to cross this chasm. But beware, for it is not what it seems." The friends exchanged nervous glances, their hearts pounding. They tentatively stepped toward the chasm, expecting to plummet into the abyss. But to their astonishment, their feet touched solid ground, and they crossed the chasm unharmed. Jeston chuckled as they completed each challenge, his laughter echoing through the surreal landscape. The puzzles grew increasingly bizarre, testing their wits and teamwork. They were forced to confront their deepest fears, but the promise of escape kept them going. After what felt like an eternity of challenges, they stood before Jeston, victorious. They had outsmarted the devious Jester at every turn. As promised, he would allow them to leave the maze and fulfill any one wish. But as they removed their masks, they noticed a sinister glint in Jeston's eyes. He had tricked them, for their victory had come at a steep price. "Now, my dear guests," Jeston hissed, "I shall claim my prize." The friends watched in horror as Jeston's painted face contorted, revealing a monstrous, fanged maw. His limbs stretched and twisted, becoming grotesque and otherworldly. He lunged toward them, and they scattered in terror. The maze around them shifted and distorted, becoming a nightmarish labyrinth of endless corridors and dead ends. Jeston's cackling laughter echoed through the maze as he pursued them relentlessly. The friends were separated in the chaos, and one by one, they fell prey to Jeston's malevolent tricks. Each was ensnared in their own personal nightmare, their worst fears brought to life. As Jeston's laughter echoed through the maze, a sinister truth became clear. The Jester had lured them into his twisted game, and their Halloween night had taken a nightmarish turn from which there was no escape.